In this episode, good salt versus bad salt.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 208 of the Daily Mother Swole. Welcome to episode 208. Today's episode, good salt versus bad salt. Good salt versus bad salt. And I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of salt first, the benefits and what the body uses it for, and then we'll talk a little bit about the good and the bad salt so you can make a little bit, some better choices when it comes to your diet and nutrition. So, first off, salt is great for muscle function in terms of blood pressure and volume. So this helps regulate your plasma volume, how thick the blood is, how thin the blood is, and also helps muscles contract among other nerve functions. Sodium is a very essential element in part with a regular balanced nutritious diet. You don't get calories from salt, but it helps regulate, it helps keep you things from like cramping in terms of muscle contraction and muscle satisfaction when at rest. So salt is very important. Salt is very important. Blood pressure, obviously very important. That's the main concern when people have too much salt, and things like volume, which will relate to your overall body health and your body chemistry. There are many different ways to consume salt, most of which human beings put way too much in, let's say, processed foods and preserved foods and foods in cans, things that will stay healthier or stay good or edible longer. And this is one of the big things that they said, Marco Polo got from China, and that was a real strong commodity, thousands, hundreds and thousands of years ago. So salt preserved meats, and that's what was really great for explorers. They put salt on meats, and it helped it from keep it from spoiling. Salt can be used for gargling and there's different types of salts. But we're talking about the general types of table salt and things that you would put on food, not necessarily naturally occurring places or things for antiseptic functions. Bad salt, along with many other things, processed, manufactured, and treated chemically. So salt, when it is processed on metal components, which can cause ionization and interaction with the salt molecules, and it's chemically treated in order to keep it from sticking. If you noticed, when you take salt, let's say from a table at a diner, for example, and you dump it out on the table, it bounces because the salt is emulsified and there's a coating on the salt that keeps it from sticking together, which in most obvious cases, we would think, wow, that's a great thing. You're keeping salt from sticking together. I can actually get some of it. When in fact, it's creating a barrier that the body will look at as an enemy and as a detriment, and it can cause swelling and water retention to help dilute what you're consuming. So there's another reason why salt can be a bad salt. Eric, your mom uses what's probably Himalayan salt. That's a pink salt. So that's going to be one of the ones I'm talking about in contrast to the standard natural, or the standard, not the normally consumed table salt. So sodium and chloride. So when you have a processed salt that's emulsified and that's extracted of nutrients, what the companies can do is create a product that is cheaper for them to produce, that will taste salty and yield them the most return. Remember, companies are looking to make money. Companies, money, stockholders, shareholders, profit, money, greed, more. So sodium chloride, regular table salt is about 99%, well over 90% sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is not the best functioning nutrient that the body can consume and use. Your body needs sodium, but in that form, in that quantity, in that imbalanced ratio, your body will start rejecting it and start getting other other I would say adaptations, it's going to affect it negatively. You're going to have those negative responses, such as higher blood pressure and poor blood volume, and issues with muscle contractions and all the things that I talked about that were good for salt. You're going to have some of those effects, but a lot of detriment when consumed in, let's say, the same volume as the comparable Himalayan or Celtic sea salt. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the benefits of a better salt and why it would be a better salt. So sodium chloride, table salt, sodium chloride is very, very much so pretty much all sodium chloride. So you're getting an exaggerated imbalance of that nutrient. The reason why Himalayan salt, the reason why Celtic sea salt, and I have a bag of Celtic sea salt that you can get online or at stores, and this is the light gray. It's coarse because I like to grind it myself. And this grinder is actually a ceramic grinder because if it touches things like metal, it's negatively impacting, and you'll lose some of the vitamins, or not the vitamins, but the minerals that might be attracted to the metal, or that could be changed and polarized due to contacting metal. So ceramic grinder is generally recommended. And this Celtic sea salt, you can find this, I think, sometimes in Publix now in Florida, but at Whole Foods or online. This is the light gray, which means that's coarse. You have to grind it yourself unless you want the coarse salt, or you can get it more finely ground. And it's very inexpensive. How much salt do you actually use? It'll last you a lot longer. And some of the benefits I'm going to talk about, specifically the Celtic salt and also the Himalayan salt right now. The Celtic salt, and I'm talking mostly about the Celtic salt, and Himalayan is similar to its lack of processing, but Celtic sea salt is not processed, it's not treated chemically, and it's used and it's raked with wooden tools, and it's hand gathered and used with or raked with wooden tools, so you don't have any of that metal interaction, you don't have any of that processing, and you are getting approximately 80 to 85, thereabouts, different live elements in Celtic and Himalayan sea salt. You are getting, and when I say, coarse, this is like a damp. This is like a very damp salt. Like it's kind of wet on the inside. It's not completely dry. They sun dry it. They sun dry the sea salt, the Celtic sea salt. I'm not exactly sure how the Himalayan salt is taken out, but the Celtic sea salt is taken from the ocean, like by France. There's like a little enclave that the sea, leaves deposits, and they rake it out, and it's like a little cove kind of thing. So over 80 different live elements like magnesium, iron, manganese, zinc, iodine, and potassium. So you're getting about 60 or 70% sodium, but you're getting a lot of other elements that help balance out the sodium. So you're not getting pure sodium. And one of the interesting aspects of Celtic sea salt is it tastes saltier. So you're actually using less salt. If you use Celtic sea salt, you can consume less salt because it tastes saltier in your food. And approximately, from what I've seen on websites, that it takes about a third less of the salt to get the same salty flavor. And I just know from personal experience, if I use that salt, I put a very little bit on, and I get, for me, a very, a much saltier tasting food. I don't have to use that much, and I'm very sensitive to toppings anyway, but I don't have to use that much, which is great, It lasts longer, and, you don't have to use salt because you're still consuming sodium. You still don't want too much of it. You still don't want, it's Celtic sea salt. You don't pound it like crazy, but if you're going to use salt, why not use a salt that has a better balance of nutrients? And homeostasis and balance in the body is very important, and the body will do a lot of good in balancing itself out. The body will do a lot of good in balancing out fluids and balancing out, heart rate and neutralizing respiratory rate and hormone levels. Your body is always looking for that balance, that homeostasis. So if you're consuming a food that has a better balance of all these elements, you can consume it. I'm not telling you consume a ton of salt, but you can consume it more liberally because there is a better balance. You're not just getting all sodium. You're not just getting all potassium. You're getting more of a blend, more of a natural balance because it's a natural salt. And it's going to be a grayer color. I don't expect anyone to be able to really see this on Facebook Live, but let me see if you might not be able to see it, but it's a grayer color. And this is probably just a lost. It's kind of like, hey, look, I actually am holding it. But it's a grayer color. You're really not going to be able to see it that well on the video. But it's a light gray, and that's why at the bottom here it says light gray Celtic, because it is actually a light gray color. And that's, color has to do with refraction of light, through the crystals and everything, you have a different color because they're different minerals. It's not just white. It's not processed. It's not stripped of all its natural benefits. So manufactured and overly stripped and emulsified, this salt does stick together. It clumps, it sticks, it's kind of wet. If you get table salt, it bounces and it doesn't stick together for a reason, because they coat it so it does not stick together, so it flows freely, so it doesn't get stuck in shakers, so it doesn't get stuck and you consume it. When your body has an element, when there's the presence of an invader or of something in unrealistic or unnatural or extreme disproportion, your body will try to dilute it. Your body will try to dilute it. It will try to flush it out. It will retain more water. You'll bloat more. You'll try to neutralize. And it's diffusion. If you remember your elementary school or your middle school or high school biology, diffusion, higher concentration to a lower concentration. When there's more salt and more crap, your body, more water will flood to it to balance it out. And you have that diffusion and that osmosis, blah, blah, blah. And higher concentration, water is going to follow the salt to dilute it. If you have more minerals, it's going to break down more. It's going to be utilized more. There's going to be more of a balance and more I want to say a better balance and a better ecosystem of interaction between minerals in your body that can be used and utilized when you're consuming salt, because you're not getting a overconcentration of sodium in itself. Not to mention you're not getting the coatings and the other elements that can cause you negative side effects. So you still want to watch your sodium intake. You still want to watch it because it still is sodium. You don't want to get too much. Can you show the package one more time? I sure can. Jesus. Or is it Jesus? I look like Jesus. Celtic sea salt, and this is light gray Celtic. You could also get it fine ground. So this is just one type, but I will say that if you do get the light gray, you have to grind it. Okay, if you want it like finer, you have to grind it. And let me see if there's a name on here. This is called Spice. This says spiceratchet.com. I'm not sponsored by this salt shaker, by the way. Maybe I should be. Spice, I don't know if you can see that. Spiceratchet.com. Can you see that? Nah. Spice Ratchet. Spiceratchet.com. And I'm just saying this because this is a ceramic grinder. So there's no metal that touches this. Okay? It's just ceramic on the inside. It's ceramic. So it doesn't interfere with the quality and with the elements and minerals. Because if you remember your organic chemistry or, molecules of magnetism, that you have ions and electrons that can interact. And if you have metal, then you can lose some of those minerals or nutrients, and it can change the polarity and issues with different shakers. Is there a difference between how your body retains water between different salts? There might be. I mean, it depends. Well, yeah, you're going to retain more water if you're consuming a salt that's higher in sodium. And of course, that's going to depend on how much you consume. And this is also going to depend on how your body processes nutrients and how much water you're consuming already, if you're already dehydrated. And a lot of times when people are bloating or they have excess water, they are not drinking enough water. So their body holds on to more water because it thinks it's in the desert. So if you're not drinking enough water already, your body will be more likely to retain water. And that's a big misconception. I don't want to drink water. I'm trying to shred out or lean out. It doesn't work that way. So that's why you want to drink more water. That's why I always talk about drinking water. Because if you don't drink water, your body is going to hold on to as much water as it can. That's why when you're dehydrated, your pee is more yellowish, because your body is not flushing out water. It needs to keep it. And that's the reason why when you drink alcohol, you get dehydrated, because you might feel like, oh, I'm peeing more, I'm drinking more liquid. But the alcohol interferes with hormones like the antidiuretic hormone that regulates your water retention, and you actually pee out more than you should be peeing. That's why you get dehydrated when you drink alcohol. So if you're drinking alcohol, drink extra water between beers or drinks so you don't get dehydrated, and drink more water to flush more water out. Thank you for joining me for episode 208 of The Daily Mother Swole. I will see everyone on Facebook Live tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. Make sure you check me out, YouTube at Swolenormous, for all the daily swoles and more vlogs and exercise videos, etc., etc. Also on the podcast, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And make sure, premium members, if you're on Swolenormous Premium, I will be going live in a few minutes to give you some updates. So make sure, for Swolenormous Premium members, keep an eye out for that, for the latest latest information and updates with the group. I'll be going online a few minutes after the Daily Swole. If you're interested in joining my premium Facebook group, you can check it out at Swolenormous.com. Exclusive accountability meetings, nutrition programming videos, live broadcast Q&As, all on my private Facebook group, and you can sign up on my website, Swolenormous.com. So thank you for joining me for episode 208. I'll see you tomorrow for 209. YouTube video. 207 is going to go online in a couple moments. Follow me on Snapchat, Instagram. Check me out around the bend. I'll see y'all mañana. Peace out, peace out, peace out.